Ladies and gentlemen,
I'm full of optimism.
Einstein's theory of relativity.
We're still seeing it quite well through that haze. T-minus 37 seconds.
The fight is growing confident.
E equals MC.
That all men are created equal.
About the future innovations.
And growing strength in the air.
Tear down this wall.
Something happening coming up on staging.
This is Finding Your Frequency with your hosts, Jeff Spenard and Ryan Treasure. It's time to speak up, share your voice, and hear from the thought leaders.
And welcome to another episode of Finding Your Frequency. I am Jeff Spenard. I'm your host. I'm also the CEO and president of World Talk Radio, home to the Voice America Talk Radio and TV networks. Joining me, of course, my colleague, Vice President of Broadcast Operations, Mr. Ryan Treasure. Ryan.
Jeff, it's Finding Your Frequency Friday. We're live in the studio. What better thing could we have going on today?
The best thing we can have is this interview we're going to be doing coming up. So
yeah, you know, a lot of our listeners have listened to us do stuff on digital marketing, blockchain, different kind of banking things. We interviewed the chief technology officer for Ally Bank a couple of weeks ago and talked about some tips and tricks to help you, save money throughout the holiday season and keep your credit cards and your debit cards secure and some what not to do when you're getting gas. We've had a lot of great conversations around technology and banking and entrepreneurship, and we're going to continue that trend today as we talk to the co-founders of rNetwork, Richard Smith and Trent Walker. We'll allow them to tell their story kind of about what rNetwork is and why it's advantageous for everybody to take a look at it. Richard is a direct sales visionary. Over the past 30 years, he's designed multiple compensation systems moving well through $800 million of products, services, and customer goods in nearly every country throughout the world. Richard, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here. This is an awesome experience for us. Looking forward to talking to you.
Yeah, we appreciate you being on.
We're excited for you to be on the show.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, and our second
guest. I like
guest,
it live in studio, by the way. These guys are live in studio, not out there somewhere in the land, but right here in studio.
It's so much better to be able to look people in the face rather than just hear them if they're on the phone or on Skype. So we definitely love it when people come down to our neck of the woods. Our second guest is Trent Walker. He's the Chief Technology Officer, founder
Fintech
and CEO
expert
of NetChain Squared, Fintech expert. He's been referred to as a leading payment expert by the Wall Street Journal, and he brings 15 years of multifaceted experience from startup to operational scale in finance and fintech. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Happy to be here, guys.
Good to have you. Good to have you. Well, every show that we do here, the people that we speak with are doing something that's helpful in the community, or just changing the way people look at different things. We call that finding your frequency. So everybody we talk to, first thing out of the gate is, how did you find your frequency? Richard, let's start with you.
I grew up in a normal, everyday household and had a very interesting upbringing. And my dad was both a full-time employee and also wanted to be an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. And I watched that. And I watched it. And he introduced me to Think and Grow Rich and things like that. Mm-hmm. And as I watched, I was like, you know what? I can be something different than your average 9 to 5.
Sure.
And I did so in a very, very unique way. I was actually writing a paper in a class at a community college. And rather than just writing the paper, I decided to go out and actually do it.
Sure.
That's not the norm in college.
No, it's not.
And so I ended up creating a whole color change T-shirt industry and got a taste of entrepreneurism. In fact, it was really interesting when I was taking the class. I'd be raising the hands because we were talking about patents and how to file them and all those types of things. Well, they were teaching things that were 6, 7, 8 years out of date, and this is in the 80s. I mean, this is crazy. I'm like, now wait a second. They don't do, the patent office doesn't do it that way anymore.
The education system.
And
right
so,
on top of it.
As I went through this whole experience, I ended up getting a C- in the class and had a multi-million-dollar business.
At least you passed.
And I scratched my head and said, there's something not working here. I need to do something different. So I've just been an entrepreneur my whole life. And part of that whole color change thing, one thing that really changed my frequency is I went to all the major retail establishments and tried to get them to buy off on it and participate in it. And kind of got the Attaboy Award. In fact, there was a real name brand that was kind of rude. They actually got the security to issue me out of the building. And so I took it to the masses. I basically sold it to other people that wanted to saw the same vision, that this was a new product and a new vision. And that same company that issued me out with guards came begging at my doorstep to buy direct from me instead of one of my distributors. And I told them to go pound rocks and go find one of my distributors.
Love it.
Long story short, we made a lot of people a lot of money because the color change was a fun industry. It was something completely different. We let people be their own entrepreneur. One individual put an umbrella up in South Beach, Florida, and borrowed money from Grandma and Grandpa to buy his first set of T-shirts, his first inventory of T-shirts.
Right.
And dang it, if he didn't just keep building it up and got a storefront on the boardwalk. And after I'd sold the business, I got a postcard right around the Christmas time. In fact, it's right now, that time of year.
Okay.
And on it, it just said, "Thank you very much." And I saw it was postmarked Florida and a number, and I had to call it.
Right.
So I called the number, and he, emotionally, I sent the postcard when I deposited the $1,000,000th. It made me a millionaire. I made payroll. I did everything from the borrowing money from Grandma and Grandpa. You made a millionaire out of me. And even when I tell the story now, the hair on the back of my neck stands up. And I'm like, you know what? It's awesome to make money for yourself. But if you can assist other people to make money, that's the greatest joy of life, and that's my frequency. That's what plays in me.
Richard, I grew up in the 80s, so you're responsible for hypercolor T-shirts?
Yeah, you know it.
Oh, man. Those are like the funnest things ever. We used to be able to, handprints in weird places is always fun.
Most everybody.
Which turned into the color change cans for Coors.
Yeah. So when Coors Lights are cold enough, the beer inside the Rocky Mountains turn blue.
Turns blue, right.
Same technology.
And the mountains turn blue. Yeah. There's a country song that has that in it, too.
There you go.
Like 70 of them.
Nice.
So, Trent, you are a fintech expert and you come from that other space. Tell us about how you found your frequency in life and in business and kind of where you started off and how you ended up going and starting the rNetwork.
Yeah, so if I'm going to go a little bit further back and kind of start where Richard started, right? Where growing up, grew up in a modest family, middle class, and so out of high school, I joined the military and spent 6 years in the Marine Corps. When I got out, I was older, and so I did the same thing. I had to work when I went to school.
Sure.
Ended up getting undergrads in communication studies, business, went on to do studies in corporate finance and accounting. And I think that while I was doing that, I was going to school, and while I was going to school, I was also out working full time, and so it gave me this understanding of what can happen to people when they're overstretching, right, and they're pushing themselves to long hour days, and at points not feeling like they're fulfilled, right?
Sure.
So there's a foundation there, and from there I went to go work with some of the biggest and largest finance and technology companies in the world. Running financial operations, looking at banking environments, and building financial technology. I ended up leaving that corporate space and going and starting a company where we built an intelligent payment platform and looked at the way that money moved and also looked at some key treasury services within the banking industry. Through that, there was this aha moment for me that was there is a real opportunity here to take the profits and the revenue that are traditionally kept at very big organizations and find a way to redistribute that to the masses and create financial wealth for everybody.
Love it.
And so when Richard and I first started talking about it, we had this moment of we really have an opportunity to change the spending behavior and financial well-being of a very large group of people. And and by doing that, you end up actually affecting the larger macroeconomics of the U.S. And it's really this bottoms-up movement to impact what has become a heavy spending and non-saving society, right?
Yes.
And when you do that bottoms-up movement, that's where the real power is, right? It's not about a top-down change. It's about a bottoms-up change, and now you start to have real impact, right? And so I found my frequency in this. Yes, I understand the finance, the banking space, and primarily treasury service and financial technology, and this hybrid where that understanding of that the movement needs to happen at the masses, and I found this path with Richard and the rest of the other three founders where we could actually do that in a really impactful way.
Okay, so let's kind of get into it now. The rNetwork and what you guys do, and when did you start this?
We've been going at it for almost a year now,
Almost
correct?
a year. I mean, I think conceptually it's been a little bit longer, but from actual execution, just about a year.
So let me talk about the building blocks of the ground floor of what this is all about. Find out where the world's going and get there first. Second is make more money than you spend. Most people don't even fathom what I'm talking about there. Not save more money than you're spending, make more money than you're spending.
Right.
And I have a little joke. I promised my wife I'd make the money and she could spend it. She's just a lot better at her job than I am at mine. So, and then at the end of the day, the piece that I had from having that one phone call with that one gentleman down on South Beach and having him tell me, you were instrumental in making me a millionaire. It was all about lose your life in the betterment of others and watch how great your life is. And those are the kind of the core building blocks.
Sure.
But let's talk a little bit about, from a layman's point of view, where the world's going. And in order to talk about where the world's going, we got to talk about where it's been. In the 80s, it was all about the guys that programmed. Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Larry Ellison, the guys that were writing code. They made the computer come alive. And they kept innovating and kept growing the whole industry.
Sure.
That was the 80s. 90s, if you didn't have a .com at the end of your name, you were a yawner, especially with Wall Street. And then you get into the end of the tail end of the 90s into 2000, it all became social media. And two great big companies came in and captured that. And that was Google and Facebook. And they used our networks, because technically your social media friends is your network, correct?
Yep.
It's our networks. They took our networks and leveraged it and changed the advertising industry forever for themselves. Well, now we're going into a whole new arena. What is that new arena? Follow the money. It's marketplaces. Marketplaces. And the 800-pound gorilla is Jeff Bezos' company and Amazon. But that's not the only one. You got Lyft, you got Uber, you got DoorDash, you got all the
the aggregation of industries is happening in a real way. And the marketplace environment is growing faster than most other industries, right? And people have learned that and it's almost to our concept. If you begin to aggregate and then put the buying power in the consumer's hand, that's where you win, right? And that's why these marketplace
Well, I think that's how economic growth happens too. You know, when you put that buying power back to the consumer's hand, they feel much more comfortable spending their money because they have more control and more power over their hard-earned dollars. Because unlike you guys, the average person is a 9-to-5er. I mean, they're grinding every day. They're working by the hour, saving their money to get what they can. And I think that's what I really like about what you guys are putting together is just being able to have that control as a consumer to be able to save.
Yeah, and absolutely. When you look at and so I think we also see great change in unification of the masses, right? Yeah. And so there's this idea, and where Richard was going is that look, if the new era is instead of that happening at a corporate level, instead bring our network to your network. And now things begin to change, and the power is back in your hands, right? It's almost like the old unions, right? We're creating a giant union with incredible purchasing power, right? And now you begin to look at what are we really as an organization, right? We're really a member-based organization that allows people to save money and then redistributes the profits and the revenue from that spending back to the network.
It's awesome.
We share savings, we don't sell. That's what we do. At the bottom, the influencers bring in their fan base or their clients, and the clients save a bunch of money, And because we're aggregating and combining it all together, there's some revenue there because cost of acquisition of a client is gargantuan for most businesses. Every business has an acquisition cost. If we can lower that acquisition cost for businesses, we get a share savings and create revenue for those influencers, which we call charter members.
Yeah, well, and I think too, from the consumer level too, when you talk about influencers, you have, people who are out in the social sphere who have, 3, 4, 5 million followers who, are waiting for the next notification on Twitter for whatever this person is going to say. And I feel like if you start to get some of those folks involved into what you guys are trying to do and they're promoting it, that is an open gateway to the entire market space and really getting people to be able to sign up. So when you have, large social spheres and they say, hey, normally they would be saying, hey, I'm going to wear these pair of Nikes. They're a fashion person, right? The fashion designer then pays that influencer to put posts and pictures about those pieces of content. Well, ultimately, that only helps two people, right? That helps the influencer gets paid for that. The brand gets brand recognition. But at the end of the day, the consumer still has to go out and spend an exorbitant amount of money on Coach or whatever that brand is. Whereas this gives them, a way to provide value to the influencer and give something back to the consumer base that's actually usable.
Yeah, and so
it's saving everybody money at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we spend a lot of time talking about not only that savings component, but how as an organization do we create additional buying power for those consumers? And so if you look, there's this slogan which you'll see that comes out a lot: is the bigger we get, the better it gets, and that really is about the larger the network gets, the more buying power that entire unity has, right? And so, and the other differentiator that I like to call out is in many other marketplaces, it oftentimes comes down to things that aren't you must have and really impact the daily financial life of that person. We, in the beginning, said, yes, we will have those products, but we're going to start in a place of things that really have to be bought, the needs of people, and making sure we're impacting people's financial lives with things that they have no choice but to buy. Things like mortgages, auto, those type of things where they're actual things that people have to buy on a daily basis.
Well,
spend on a daily basis.
So let's talk about that. I mean, you guys have some relationships with several brands in these types of spaces where you talk about, the things that people have to buy. Tell us a little bit about some of those relationships.
One of my favorite is our mobile, and because the mobile space, if you're a millennial, having a phone is like cutting off your arm, and if you're older than that, it's kind of a necessary evil.
Yes.
And it's the smartphone. If you don't have the smartphone,
Jeff's not a millennial, and he still gets upset if he leaves his phone at home.
Yeah,
there you go.
Allow me to geek out for a second.
But I can live with it.
Go ahead and geek out for a minute.
If you allow me to geek out for a second, they actually did this study recently, and they replaced people's phones with wooden blocks, and they put them in their back pocket. And by the end of the day, people were still pulling out that wooden block like every 2 minutes because it becomes such a part of your life.
Right.
So everybody's got that expense of mobile.
That's an addiction.
And it is an addiction. In fact, the statistics prove that we sell 1.5 billion smartphones worldwide.
Right.
Well, that's a huge industry.
Sure.
And you got all kinds of competitors competing against it. We've set up our mobile where we get you the best price and lower your bill, get you brand new cell phones. Well, that is significant to the FANN and to the charter member.
Right.
Because most people, the millennials, are getting their cell phones bought by us.
Sure.
Baby boomers.
Sure.
And
you guys hearing this now?
we have, 6, 7, 8 lines we're paying for. Well, if you can cut that in half and give everybody a brand new S10 or a brand new
iPhone with 3 eyeballs.
Yeah, there you go. And that's what's been given to them, and have a significant say to be on a month-to-month basis.
Sure.
That's just one aspect.
Right.
We've placed thousands of cell phone lines, and it's just phenomenal.
Yeah, and the savings people are getting. Anecdotally, we had a guy that came back to us and said that he was spending about $900 a month on his
Ouch.
7 lines.
Yeah.
And he moved
He must
up.
have Verizon.
He actually flipped to 9 lines, and his cell phone bill still got cut by 60%.
60% off. And that's what we say. We share savings.
Yeah.
We don't sell
I
anything.
need phones for the business.
Yeah, so you guys have our mobile, well, and I think that
We're
would
switching.
fit. Well, we already have the proper carrier for that.
Right.
So our mobile, right? So actually, it's funny. Our mobile is like the tip of the spear because you have to have a phone to get the app on your phone to get the savings. So it kind of starts with our mobile, right?
I'm going to go into our autos, and then you're going to take our mortgage because
that's fine.
That's your space.
Either way.
So one of the things that people absolutely despise is to have to go on to used car dealership. Even a good salesman. Even a good salesman.
Apologize to any auto dealers out there.
Yeah. You walk off the lot and you're like, did I really get a good deal or didn't I? You know, that's kind of the feeling about it.
Yep.
Well, what if you didn't ever have to go onto a car lot? But we could get you the make, the model, the year, the mileage, everything that you want and have it delivered directly to your doorstep under Blue Book.
Oh.
And don't have to hassle with any of it.
Right,
That's
right.
what our auto
And we
is
took
about.
care of the financing.
Yeah,
for you,
we
too.
take care of the financing for you. So
Is there
basically,
motorcycles in there?
of course there is. Anything's got to be.
Silly question. No.
Is there a used motorcycle market? Of course there is. Yeah. So that's what.
Bigger than new.
And it's a concierge service. You literally fill in what you want, and the concierge goes to work for you.
Yep.
And it's not some bot, some live person that knows he's an expert in the car industry,
He knows the
goes and
industry.
buys that car for you. So instead of selling to you, they're working for you. See the difference?
And
if
you
you
know
can-
they're picking up big client base because they're doing all the work. These are the guys that go to the auctions
and
and
buy.
all that. And boom, 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 they move it and they make money.
And then we turn around. I'm sorry to.
I was going to say, bring it back to a motorcycle, right? If you ever went and purchased a motorcycle, it is a huge hassle, right? Because you gotta make sure that you gotta ride at home, you gotta go with two people, you gotta get a trailer,
Disaster.
right? All that kind of stuff. And so if you have a concierge service, you buy a motorcycle, they just bring
to
it to
your
your
front
house.
door.
That's amazing.
And on top of that,
I'm ready to buy one right now.
And then again, we take a portion of the profit revenue, we redistribute it back to the network.
So
On
everybody
every
wants to
single
know,
cost.
how are you saving money? Well, you don't have the lot fees, you don't have any of the flooring lines. Plus, you don't have to sell the.
Do you
have
bypass tax, title, and license?
It's all included.
It's all included.
And we're still, I think right now the average is about 22% savings.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Off of what they would get.
It's
through license.
significant, and you don't have to worry about getting sold to. And did I get a good deal or didn't I?
Right.
Now go to our mortgage.
You know you're getting a good
because there's three phases, by the way, in this our mortgage. That's really exciting, and Trent's the brainchild of it.
Yeah. So and I'm gonna be cautious about how we talk about the mortgage stuff and what's coming in the future for internal reasons, right?
Yes, sure.
But I'll talk about conceptually where we are, right, and or where we are now, and then we're conceptually where we're going. When you look at the mortgage industry, obviously it's a massive industry. We've done the exact same thing. We've gone out and selected through our personal networks. Early days of my career, I was in the mortgage industry. So we've gone out and one of the other founders spent a long time in the mortgage industry. So we went and found insiders in the mortgage industry that we handpicked and vetted that are working on their behalf. And you get a concierge, they go out and they find you a mortgage. And they find, and we have deals struck where it's based on your current situation,
Right.
Market standard rates. And we have special deals work out with them where they get discounts on, our members get discounts on fees. Where are we going, right? So ultimately, mortgages is a very large industry, and there's a lot of complexities when it comes to the banking side of it. As an organization, we believe there is a future where we can get to the network itself can help other people buy houses and therefore get reduced interest rates. On top of that, be able to create residual income for people on a monthly basis, just like banks make residual income on mortgages. And when you look at that, think about the power, right? I'm going to help someone buy a house, so now it's a good thing, right? You're just purely a good thing. You're helping someone buy a house. Now, secondly, you're making residuals on that commission. Now, we have to be careful about how that works, but that's why it's way down in the future. But now we're in a place where people are building their wealth for 30-year mortgages. You actually are creating a monthly income for years to come.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to take a quick commercial break. But Trent, I want to kind of just tag onto that too, because the banking industry in and of itself works very similar to like basically the more money that they handle, the more money they make, right? So the more it passes through the bank, the more loans, the more things that they do, the more money they make. And so with the R mortgage and the network and all the other components, if you take that money away from the banks and they're not able to make that money, all of that extra distribution goes to the people in the network.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that there's an impact to the bank and on multiple levels, and I won't get into how the internal workings of the bank, but I will say that there is a cost of capital when a mortgage is done. If you get rid of that cost of capital, now there is additional wealth that can get pushed out to the network. On top of that, there's investment opportunities when off of depository income. So if you're increasing the deposits to the bank, all of those things play into our ability to impact and share the wealth with the broader people in the network.
So it goes deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking to President of rNetwork, Richard Smith, and Chief Technology Officer Trent Walker. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Make sure you guys check us out on social media at Radio Ryan 1, at Jeff Spinney 2, and of course, the Voice America Twitter at Voice America TRN. And we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the rNetwork, learn some more about the mortgage components, and find out how rNetwork can be good for you. So stay tuned. We'll be right back right after these messages.
The Internet's #1 talk station. #1 talk station. VoiceAmerica.com.
Shapeshift World was created to help business owners reach their maximum potential and achieve their dreams. We do this by focusing on the fastest path to cash through planning, product innovation, automation, and social media engagement. Businesses hire Shapeshift to change the way they communicate to their prospects, customers, and employees because their business results are lackluster and sales are not moving the needle fast enough. Using Codebreaker AI technology with our customers, we will change your company's communications and delivery approach to an organic style that cannot be unlearned and works for everyone. The bottom line, at Shapeshift World, we increase sales velocity by up to 300% systemically while reducing the time it takes to close the sale. To get your personality and company assessment a $100 value, just text code ME, CODEME, to the phone number 72000 and connect with us. It's the first step in shifting the way you think to change the world. Text code ME to the phone number 72000.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click register at the top right.
Stimulating talk.
Gets those synapses in the brain firing really fast.
All the time. The #1 Internet talk station where your opinion counts. VoiceAmerica.com.
Something's happening coming up on station.
You're tuned into Finding Your Frequency with hosts Jeff Spenard and Ryan Treasure. Connect with the show. Call in to 1-866-472-5788. That's 1-866-472-5788.
Hello and welcome back to Finding Your Frequency. I am your host, Jeff Spenard.
I'm Ryan Treasure.
And we are with Richard Smith and Trent Walker. Richard is the president. Trent is the Fintech expert for the rNetwork. Gentlemen, welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Good.
Let's keep going here.
Just before we went to commercial break, we were talking about the R mortgage, and I really want to get into that. But, I always like to ask our guests, some personal questions. Richard, Trent, do you guys have children?
Of course I do. I have 7 sons.
Yeah. You got 22 kids.
Yeah. 22. 7 sons. It took me 7 to say, we're not having a daughter. I'm checking out at this thing.
Yeah, I got to.
I got a 21-year-old son and a 6-year-old daughter, so of course the 6-year-old is at home. And
4 boys, 1 daughter.
Yeah, we're always challenged with screen time, right? They have their iPads and Amazon Kindles and all those different things, and I'm always, as a parent, trying really hard to make sure that 5 more minutes doesn't turn into 5 more hours on Saturday afternoon.
Very well good.
Do you guys have big challenges with that too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it started at a super young age, too. I remember my 3-year-old and I have this complex figure on my phone so no one can open it. Of course, my 3-year-old just all, I'm done. Got it.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dad.
Nowadays, kids are so creative, smart, and adventurous, and now they're using those new gifts to get into parts of the internet that you don't want them to get into. So that's definitely a big challenge. And, you think your kids are sleeping only to walk in the room to check on them in the middle of the night, and there they are, on the tablet. And, we were all kids once. We know how much mischief we used to get into when we were younger. And so now with the wild, wild west of the internet, it's hard to know what kinds of things your kids will come across. And so we want to make sure we keep them safe. So enter this company, a great award-winning company, Circle. It's a way to manage your family's online time across all connected devices inside and outside your home. So it doesn't matter if your kid's at school, you can still manage what kind of screen time and what they're accessing from.
Spy on your kids.
And make sure that they're, not going to the bad places of the internet. Like keep the kids off TikTok, right? I hate TikTok. Just plug the Circle Home Plus unit into your router, download the app, and you can keep track across every connected device from laptops, phones, tablets, and smart TVs, streaming devices, and even video game consoles. And right now, our listeners are getting a limited time offer of $30 off of a Circle Home Plus when you visit meetcircle.com/frequency. I actually got one of the devices. They sent me one, and I'm telling you, it is amazing. I can lock down Disney Plus at any time so we can't get on there and stream, because my daughter has that bad habit of grabbing the tablet in the middle of the night and sneaking it. So
they can go across different devices and different
devices and different networks. Yes, so
that's why it's important. Yeah, that's incredible.
Yeah,
that is incredible.
I love being able to shut her phone down at school, right? And it's basically like you can't use the phone, you can't use any applications on your phone from this time to this time, and it keeps to make sure that she doesn't, whip it out and play with it in front of her friends, and it's definitely been helpful. So yeah, go check out meetcircle.com/frequency. Enter the promo code frequency, save $30. Thanks, Frequency. Now we got that out of the way, let's get back to talking about our mortgage. I think that's an important piece, and you were talking about some of the implications towards the consumers in that space.
Yeah, I think that, jump back in here, when you talk about mortgages being one of the most important purchases in someone's life, and having someone work for them that is a mortgage insider that's been vetted by a network that is really for you, it's really important, right? And then you look at what we're doing and looking towards in the future, the residual income that can be created for an individual is really powerful, right? And then the impact to us as an organization and the things that we can do once we break that mold on the long-term basis on the banking side is also equally incredible. Once we are able to operate within the mortgage space the way we really want to, the profit and the revenue that can be redistributed back to the network grows even greater, right? So right now we're really just coming out of the beta phase with the mortgages. We're doing it within the proper guidelines with a look towards the future. And so I would just say that in the next 6 months, that functionality and that product is going to be one of the things that I believe is the most innovative in the space.
So 6 months is go time.
Timeline is undetermined, but that's obviously our goal is to say within 6 months, let's start to be looking towards a roadmap to taking the next phase within the space.
I think now's a good time for that too. I mean, you have mortgage rates that are, kind of historically low at this particular time, which isn't necessarily a good thing for the economy of the country, right? Because then you start seeing banks aren't making money on mortgages, so they start raising rates on, other things like credit card processing and some of those things that we talked about.
Inflationary, all that stuff, right?
So what other tools? I mean, we talked about R Mobile and R Mortgage, but what are some of the other advantageous components of the network?
One of the things that we're actually really aggressively going is where are people having to spend money? And part of it is medication. You wouldn't believe how many people have to buy medication. In fact,
I would believe it.
It's amazing to me. And when you get to the senior citizen level, they have to determine what they're going to eat versus do they have their medication. Mm-hmm. And those types of things are crushing to me. Can I eat good protein, or do I got to eat something else so I can buy my meds? One of the things
but if you're on the R network and you're getting some better residuals, then you might not have to worry about that meds versus food thing anymore.
That's where I'm going. But also for a fan that's not interested in being an influencer, if we could deduct up to 60% off your medications. That's a game changer for people. That changes the proteins that they're able to eat in their body and still have their medication. And that's what we have. And not only for humans, but medication for your pets. A lot of people there's no insurances for pets. So you're spending hundreds of dollars to keep Fluffy alive. And Fluffy's important to the family. And so you keep paying it. Well, if you could get up to 80% discount on your pet meds as well, we've got it in there. It's just
huge.
Yeah, and on a scale level, I mean, I think the recent stats are 55% of Americans are taking a reoccurring medication at this point, or regularly taking medications. So it is really impacting the masses in a real way and the discretionary spending ability of those people. And so not only do we help them save, we then turn around every time it's used, and again, we put it back into the network.
Well, and not to mention, too, that the United States has an inherent problem that not a lot of the other countries have, where our costs for prescription are so much higher than other places around the world anyway.
Absolutely.
So anything that we can do to try to save money in that space is...
And the medication that I have to take is about a $65 a month prescription, and I've got a really good insurance package, which I have a copay, which is $25. I used the card, and it was $12.50. I said, "Hey, forget about my insurance. Let's just it saved me $12.50 myself." So that type of program, and it's free. It's just part of the system. It's part of our network for both the FANN and the charter member. Yeah. One more.
We want to talk about the travel real quick.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Yeah, so in the saving environment, I think it was one of our first products. We released a savings platform specifically for the charter members, which is included in the charter member package, and it's savings on travel and it's saving on the daily spending, right? So it's kind of a discount program. It's our perks and our travel. The travel it's cheaper than you're going to find anywhere else on the internet. On the R perks, again, it's exclusive offers and deals for the network only. So that buying power is really being able to affect the kind of rewards, deals, and offers we can have from travel to just standard daily purchases.
Just your standard going out to eat and be able to get a 2-for-1 meal at your favorite restaurant.
I love coupons.
Those type of things. And the fact of the matter is all there right on your phone. So you don't have to clip the coupons. You don't have to get a book or anything else. You just pull it up, it notifies you. Boom, you go in, show it to your waitress. And
it was like I just started using Google Pay for the first time. I had been really leery about it for a long time, and then I realized not only in Google Pay can you keep like your debit card, but you can keep like your AutoZone card and your I go to Circle K for coffee every morning, so your Circle K card and all the different grocery store change all on your phone. And I was so happy, and my wallet got thinned out by like half. So I would imagine, because you guys have the rNetwork mobile debit card and all those types of things that you guys will have as well. So those will all be integratable inside of those services like Google Pay too, right? Because it's a
absolutely. It's a standard debit card.
That's wonderful. I'm getting to the point where maybe one of these days we won't have to carry a wallet.
And maybe someday we may not need, with the card we offer, you'll be able to load the other cards into our card. So maybe.
That's pretty cool.
There you go.
That's pretty cool. Well, let's shift gears just a little bit because we've talked all about the mobile, mortgage, auto, the travel, the medication, all those kind of perks that come with the rNetwork. But I think it's important to explain to the listening audience, how they can get involved. What does it look like? What is a charter member versus a FANN? What is the entryway for a charter member versus a FANN? Just kind of understanding the different levels of entry in that space.
Do you want to start and let me finish, or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to talk about the actual, what the charter members' experience is and the technology that we've built in order to not only support the product pieces that we've talked through, but also just support their ability to build their business and their ability to interact with, get paid the funds and what we're doing with our money and our pay in order for them to be able to actually extract the money. Because what's different, we're not saying here's the profit and the revenue that we're going to share, but by the way, you have to turn around and use that to rebuy in one of our products. You literally take the money out. You can click pay me and we put the money in your bank account. Or in many international countries, we deliver it real time in cash.
Yeah, and the leverage of building a network or bringing our network to your network and then leveraging that multiple levels is really the magic in all this. There's a lot of cashbacks for using a card. So you go and you use your Discover card, you got to pick out what you want to get your savings on.
It's a pain.
It's a pain. We are going to, as we mature into who we are, you'll present the card. Why would a fan present that card or that bank versus any other? We discussed that before we got on the air here. Well, savings. Point of purchase savings is a huge thing, and they'll be more apt to use our card than any other card. Well, what does that allow us to do? Well, we pay the influencers. In fact, multiple tiers of influencers, which allows people to leverage an income piece on people's savings. So when they spend, you get paid. And that's a very unique. We stack up the overall savings, and we also stack up the commissions, and we allow people to introduce individuals to get paid as well as save. And as that builds out, you're talking about an army of people that are changing their life both financially and from a savings point of view, savings as well.
Yeah, so let's go back to how do you get involved, right? So from a getting involved perspective, you have to be invited into the network by an existing charter member. And we do that for many reasons, right? Because there's a mechanism that has to be in place to track how are we sharing these profits and revenue, how are we actually doing that in the right way.
Yep.
We want to know who brought you into the network so we can share it appropriately, right? So you'd be recommended by one of the charter members. Of course, you can go to our website, rNetwork.io, and take a look at the products. You can take a look at how do I get involved. You can contact us, and oftentimes we'll give you another charter member that can enroll you. But again, it's through an existing member will invite you to be part of the network, and they would invite you to either be a charter member or you can come in as a fan. And those fans have limited access to some of the products, but again, it's still influencing the entire network. Or you can come in as a charter member, and that gives you greater savings, greater benefits, and greater ability to earn income.
So, what is the difference between a fan and a charter member, and why would one say, "Hey,
fans don't earn income.
Yep.
They save."
And we could drive our website and say it 1,000 times, but we really don't want to. Voice America, it's your audience. We want to support you. And so what we'll do is get you a charter membership, and then they'll have the same access, but you guys might as well get paid. So that's what I like about it.
Absolutely.
So
I love the idea and the concept.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think that the difference being is a charter member is part of the profit and revenue share.
Sure.
And they're taking advantage of the same savings. A fan is taking advantage of the savings and discounts and all the products we've talked about, but they do not get to share in the revenue profit.
Do fans have any reason to go and share and tell? Like, can a fan invite another fan? Can I, if I was a fan, say, hey, you should check this out?
You can invite a potential fan, but then that fan is going to have to get in hold of that charter member that enrolled the first one, and then they can come in as a fan.
We are, when we get a little further down the road, allow that to happen.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah,
it's evolution is business. As everyone that's listening right now knows, organizations travel a path, and you don't go from A to Z. Like the roadmap is many years long for us. We're just traveling that path.
Do you guys have numbers, statistics, like who's a fan now? I mean, numbers-wise.
Number of people involved?
Yeah.
Richard, I don't know if we can discuss that on the air, can
we? where we're at in the overall business cycle and what we're doing with.
And we understand it's.
But
new.
I also it's not the newness. It's what we're planning on doing with the public arena.
Right.
And I don't want to disclose that at this point.
Enough.
It has the potential and is now a very going concern. We spent weeks at number one with our mobile partner being the number one seller of that mobile partner.
Okay.
So just to give you a glimpse of what we're doing, why are we doing it this way? Because it's the right thing to do. Go back to the 3 building blocks. Let's make sure we know where the world's going. And you can see we've got 1 foot in the past with the social media platforms and the fact that you do have a network. Most people don't realize they do have a network.
Sure.
Forget about your social media again. Just look at the contacts on your phone. Those people would love to save money, and they think you were a hero if you saved them on just the prescriptions. The foot in the other arena is it's about time for you to make money in a marketplace of savings to individuals. So we don't sell anything, we share savings.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, there's some of the numbers I can give you, right? On the mobile space, I believe we changed over about 5,000 lines in about 7 weeks.
Yep.
So to give you an idea of how big the network is right now, I believe we had 170 people that have come in to get a mortgage, and we in about 4 weeks. In the first 4 weeks, rather, I don't know where the numbers are right now. And then on the auto side, I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
I don't either.
But I will say this, that the network is continuing to grow month on month, and it's growing extremely fast. And what I'm excited about is also we have products in the roadmap that we're getting ready to release based on that growth.
Right.
I was just going to say, as you guys are looking through the roadmap and as you start to grow, are there any restrictions or certain banking policies or things that you guys have to follow as a company since you're working in certain of those sectors? Of
course, right. Regulation, things like KYC, very important to us. So know your customer. Very important to us. Anti-money laundering policy, very important to us. RESPA in the mortgage industry, very important to us. All of those things from a compliance and regulatory perspective, we look after on a daily basis.
Yeah, and I think
our partners help us with that.
I just think it's important that as the consumer listening to the show, that they understand too that yes, you guys have all this cool stuff, but you're also looking out for making sure that you're following the proper regulatory procedures.
Yeah.
And
we talked about data security earlier. We look at PCI, we look at PCI. And we look at PII information.
Do you take it all the way as far as like GDPR is in Europe?
We do because we are in Europe, yep. So we are compliant with GDPR. All of that stuff we are very careful with, and again, as a business, it becomes paramount. Security, compliance, and regulation becomes paramount for the longevity of the company.
100%. So as you guys look into like a crystal ball, I guess, of the future, and you have this roadmap that's out for several years, what are some of the things that we could start to see from rNetwork over the next 2 to 5 years that might be something you don't have now that you're really excited to share?
Yeah, I think that a lot of, and I'll speak for myself, right? I think that there's a piece of this that who knows from a product perspective where we're going, because again, we do know this. We are going to roll out 3 distinct areas. One is our retail hub, which allows people to come in and buy actual retail products that you would see on any other digital marketplace. Our financial hub, which allows people to get access to those traditional mortgages, our bank, all of those things, and then and then our rewards, which is where the travel and those things will be housed, right? So those 3 categories on a top level is where we're going. Some of the stuff that I'm personally really excited about is again, because I understand the banking space and primarily treasury so well, I think that the things that we can do for consumers, and I'm just going to give you an example of where we would love to head, is if the common consumer has a really hard time protecting against inflation. If we gave someone a very easy way to take money that they've earned and put that back into a commodity via a click of a button to protect against inflation, something like gold, right? And then easily transfer that back to a place where they can spend from it or spend directly from gold. Sure. Those things are very powerful to a consumer, and also as an organization, it starts to breach down walls in the banking industry for us.
Well, there's a lot of consumers, and I'll put an example. Like if you work for the city, any city, right? You might have the same the same salaried position at the city, right, for 10 years or something before you have to go and interview for another job that's a higher level. And so if you're making the same amount of money for 10 years, it's really hard to protect yourself against inflation if you have no way to make more money.
I mean, that's the exact thing. And then again, back to we're creating additional income and discretionary income from people on a daily basis. Well, now let's give them the ability to invest that and protect it in a very wise way. And so from a banking and product perspective, I think that's where we're going. It's products to allow people to not take the discretionary income that they've made as being part of the network and now put it into areas where will just work for them. And that's, I think, the future for us in that area.
And I would put it this way. You go downtown to any major city anywhere in the world and look at the largest buildings and see the names on those buildings.
Yep.
Guess what? Those are places where the network can save billions of dollars and share the revenue stream, not only from savings, but also from earnings. That's the space that we're going to be in.
And I'll tell you, we're looking at home security products. We're looking to allow people to save money on home security products and not have to put the money out right up front, where they can amortize it over months, so they're not just putting a giant lump sum out.
Sure.
We're looking at things like insurance, auto insurance. So we really are looking at life-changing things that people really need to have, and say, can we create savings for everyone? And on top of that, can we help people make money off these things?
Sure.
Once again, it goes back to the little tagline: the bigger we get, the better it's going to get.
Exactly.
And by the way, some of these are right around the corner.
Yeah. All right, gents, we have about 4 minutes left or so. What is it you really want to hammer home to the audience, or what do you want to get out there?
What do you want to get out, Trent?
Yeah, I think that for me, what I want to get out there is this really is a financial revolution. And if you just look at our vision statement, it says it all. And it's really about a financial revolution for the masses to change the way people save and earn money, and thus changing the financial well-being of many people, and then rolling that up and saying, can we have a macroeconomic impact by doing this, right? So that's my real message is, look, that's the vision, is a financial revolution to change the way common people, including myself, save and earn.
All right.
I would go down to the smallest individual that doesn't believe that they have the right to earn real live money. And the fact of the matter is, what we are here at rNetwork is a place for you to have a consistent thing that you can believe, conceive, so you can go achieve it and believe in yourself. A lot of the flaws in our society is we're taught not to believe in ourselves. This can be a vehicle for you to start believing in yourself, making full-time income. And for me, when I say full-time income, I'm talking north of $5,000, closer to $10,000 a month, residual reoccurring income, not by selling anything, but sharing savings.
Sure. That's a beautiful thing.
I love saving money. I mean, who doesn't?
That's got to make you feel good, too, to help somebody to save money.
Yeah, I just know how hard people work. I mean, you come into the Voice America facility and you see our executive producers, you see our staff and our engineers, and you see the effort that they put forth for the customers, for the business, for them to make a livelihood, and to be able to go home at the end of the day and say, hey, you know what? I can go make some additional residual income, still go to work and do the things that I love to do, be with the people that I love to be with, not worry about inflation, and give the buying power back to the consumers. I mean, that is a win across all spheres that I haven't heard in a long time. So I love what you guys are doing.
Kudos.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
And we'll be pushing to work together. So
yeah, good. Definitely stay tuned for the Voice America rNetwork collaboration of some sort. I'm sure we'll be working on that.
Looking forward
to
to
get that out to you guys.
It'll be fun.
But hey, I want to thank both of you guys for being on the show today and coming down to the studio. It was great to see you.
Cool. Great to see you.
Yeah,
so much.
thanks for having me. Thanks for being on the show. And I'm sure we'll have another segment later on.
That'd be wonderful.
Remember, guys, our networks help the consumers have the buying power, change the way you save and spend money. Our networks. You're listening to Finding Your Frequency with Jeff Spenard and Ryan Treasure right here on the world-famous Voice America Internet Talk Radio on the Variety Channel, of course. Go check us out all over social media, at Radio Ryan1, at Jeff Spinney 2, at Voice America TRN, the website, findingyourfrequency.net. And whatever way you're listening to this show, if you're listening on Spotify or iTunes or any of that, share it with your friends. Give us 5 stars, because 5 stars are way better than 4. And we'll talk to you next time right here on Finding Your Frequency.